So I'm going to talk about how to center your brake. I currently am riding Shimano XT brakes, but these are tricks that I actually learned using Avid Juicy brakes. So really it works on both of them. So if you listen here, it's definitely rubbing. It's sticking there. So the first and easiest method is simply to loosen both bolts. Loosen them enough that the brake can slide back and forth on both bolts. So it's moving at the bottom bolt, moving at the top bolt. Then you go ahead and pull the brake lever a couple of times. Pull it a couple of times and then pull it and hold it. And go ahead and tighten them up. So I'm still holding the brake lever. And when you tighten them, what you want to do is you want to tighten them very evenly. So tighten one down so it catches a little bit. Tighten the other one a little bit more. Just alternate back and forth between those two until it's pretty tight. We'll see how it is. There we go. So that centers it. Once you've tested to make sure it's actually centered, you want to go ahead and holding the brake lever again. Tighten them down hard. I'm sure they'll tell you somewhere on there how tight you're supposed to do them, but what I do is tighten them until pulling on the Allen key, it flexes slightly. Okay, so those are tight and brake centered. So the next method to try, assuming your brakes are rubbing, if the first method didn't work, is to use a piece of paper to create the space that you need on both sides of the rotor. I learned this from a avid mechanic at one point at a race. So go ahead and loosen both sides, or both bolts, so that your brake's moving. And then you want to set the piece of paper onto, actually this is a little bit big, set the piece of paper on the brake rotor in between the pads. And sometimes you can get it to fit in by holding it there. Yeah, so that got it in there. So it's now on the rotor in between the pads up here in the caliper. So now I'm going to pull the front brake, hold it, tighten it back up. As I mentioned before, I'm going to tighten them evenly, so tighten until you get a little bit of resistance. Go back to the other one, tighten a little bit more, alternate back and forth, and then spin the wheel to get that piece of paper out. There we go, nice and centered. Okay, so I know this is a weird angle, but I didn't know how else to explain this method and actually, be able to show it. So if you look here, the brake's rubbing, and as you can see in the video, it's over on this side that it's rubbing, and I can actually see down through the caliper, and I can see a space on one side. Fortunately, this floor is light colored. Really, the best way to do it is put a piece of paper underneath the caliper, and then because it's so light colored, you can look through it and really see which side the space is on. So because the space is over on this side, or I'm sorry, it's rubbing on this side, so the space is over on this side, we're going to loosen up the brake, and we're going to try to center it by hand, which, really use the other methods if you can, but if you have a really stubborn brake that doesn't want to center, that's how you want to do it. So I loosened both of them, getting good movement in there. So go ahead by tightening the top one just a little bit, and I want to look down through there as I'm tightening it to make sure that I can see the white paper underneath. I need to push it over a little bit. there. Move to the bottom one. Look down through the paper. To the paper, rather. Slide over that a little bit. Okay, now I've got space on both sides. So I've tightened them up a little bit so that it's holding its space on both sides. We'll test it. Okay, we got no noise. So I'm going to now hold the front brake lever as I go ahead and snug them down. Snug down both of them. And then we'll spin it and see how it goes. There we go. So we've got it centered. So the one other thing to talk about is if you have a bent brake rotor or disc brake rotor. So that means you've correctly centered your brake, so it's pulling evenly on both sides. But when you spin it, you're getting an occasional rubbing noise. So really what you have to do is you have to bend your brake rotor back to straight. The way to do it is figure out where it's rubbing. Okay, so I know it's rubbing right there, which means it's right here. And the first thing to try, especially if you don't have a tool, is to just do it by hand. So I'm going to push on it a little bit. Okay, so it's still rubbing, so it's probably more than I can do with my hand. I mean, you can do it if you're on trail side and you don't have a tool for it. Go ahead and use your hand. You can push on it pretty hard. Just make sure that you're not doing this right after you've been braking, because it'll be hot enough that it will burn you. I have some scars from it. They're really not that great. So because it's too much for me to bend by hand right now, I'm going to find the spot again. Okay, it's right there. And then you can use any long tool. And I can tell by looking at it that it's rubbing on this side. So I'm going to just use this tool to lever it a couple of spots till, see. Okay, it's better. You can't hear it, but I can still see it rubbing on that side. Go ahead and bend a little bit more. Looks pretty good. There's still one little section. Try to get a little bit farther. There we go, that looks good. So now it looks perfectly centered, brake centered, rotor centered, so I shouldn't have any issues braking now, and it should be nice and quiet.